Thanks for tuning in to Discover Stories on Reimagine Radio. Before we get started, here's a word from our sponsor.
Do you wish you had a voice in making some of the world's most popular websites more accessible? Fable is recruiting a community of paid assistive technology users who work from home to test websites and provide feedback on how they can be improved. We're currently recruiting testers who use Dragon, voice control, eye tracking, switch controls, and head mice. No resume, no cover letter, and no experience with user testing is required. Learn more and apply at www.makeitfable.com/community.
Yeah, thanks for joining me on the podcast here. Oh, sorry, did you say something?
Oh, sorry, I just said happy to be here.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, thank you. We can get started then. So you are Esther Thane, am I pronouncing that right?
Yeah, hard T on Esther.
Oh, okay, Esther Thane. All right. And you are a music therapist?
Correct.
Awesome. Where do you work exactly?
I have a practice called ET Music Therapy. It's a company that's been specializing in neurodiversity and other diverse needs clients since 1996.
Awesome. Okay, that's great. Very cool. Yeah, and then I'm Noah Stolte, the VAMS program assistant, interviewing you today. Yeah, we kind of have an interesting overlap in our two organizations, but do definitely like different but similar, so that's cool.
Yeah, I think we do because, what we do, kind of one of the things about music therapy that I think really parallels well with what you guys are doing at VAMS is we're working on process and you guys are working maybe also on product, on music products. So I think the two are really important in the whole creation of music and well-being for individuals.
Yeah, totally. That's very well said. As concisely as possible, could you define the practice of music therapy? What does it look like and what does it mean?
So, music therapy, in its most simplistic definition, is that we work on musical goals. Sorry, scratch that, ignore that, take that off the record. We work on non musical goals through music. So, that's really the basic music therapy. We're targeting all goals when we talk about goals for self growth and development. From social skills to physical skills, communication, cognitive skills, emotional, and even spiritual skills as well. So we really kind of access the development of all of those areas or the maintenance of those areas through a wide variety of different musical experiences. And that will look different based on the different types of individuals you work with and their ages.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. It's like music is more like the vehicle to reach your goals.
Exactly.
That's very cool. All right. And what does your clientele look like? Like what kinds of people, what kinds of things are they dealing with?
Well, you really can work, you really can do music therapy and work with the entire age span from infants, from neonatal infants all the way up to end of life. So, that's a very loaded question because we could be here for hours discussing the different conditions. But, for instance, I'll just kind of give you a few examples. So we've got music therapists working in NICU units in hospitals, helping premature babies thrive. And they've actually found in a lot of research that applying very specific music techniques, lullabies and music to even the very, very premature infant It actually helps them thrive, gain weight,
Wow.
and work on their sucking ability, etc. And
Huh.
of course, create the bond with mom and the child.
That's interesting.
And then we go all the way through the age span when we're talking about neurodiverse clients to any clients with other diverse needs or disabilities, mental health, those with substance disorders, all the way through to stroke, brain injury, recovery, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, you
Wow.
name it.
Yeah. Okay.
At our practice at ET Music Therapy, we focus more so on neurodiverse clients, from young kids from like 2 to 3 years old, all the way. I think our oldest client is in their 90s. So, but we
Wow.
also work with anybody who has any other types of diverse needs when it comes to anxiety, um, also any brain injury, Down syndrome, ADHD, you name it. So we
Okay.
kind of, again, work with a whole spectrum.
Yeah. That sounds like pretty much anything is possible then with music therapy. Yeah. So, what kind of challenges do these clients face that you work with?
So, for instance, if we're talking about older individuals with Alzheimer's, they they might really face challenges of regulating, of reducing their anxiety, being able to sleep, being able to communicate with their loved ones.
Mm.
And they've found that playing familiar songs from their early childhood allows even those individuals who have lost their speech be able to sing
Wow.
songs from their childhood. When we're talking about stroke rehabilitation or brain injury, music can be applied in a very systematic way for working on gait. So when we're talking about gait, we're talking about
Hmm.
walking prosody. And when you
Okay.
apply certain rhythmic beats and techniques, you can actually increase a person's ability to regain their ability to walk,
Oh, wow.
and talk as well. And for neurodiverse kids, for instance, which is something that we target a lot at ET Music Therapy, is social communication, the ability for them to control their impulses, to have self regulation, and to feel confident exploring and interacting and engaging with another individual
Okay.
within the music environment. So, in general, music is a non threatening language.
Right.
And we know it's also very universal. It's universal in all cultures. There's very few people in the world that don't like music.
Mm.
So everyone associates memories and has preferred music. And that's a huge principle of music therapy, is that we're using, when possible, music that is client preferred.
Okay.
That's always going to increase the ability for somebody to integrate skills at a deeper level. So if they love country music, we use country music. If they love heavy metal and rap, that's what we use. So it's
Nice.
really all about connecting with the client through what lights up their brains. There's actually been a lot of research that's shown that individuals' brains know what they prefer to
Oh,
listen
wow.
to when it comes to music too. So, if you don't like classical music, but you love rap or hip hop, that's what's going to light up all the areas of the brain and stimulate um, your your development, whether it's emotional development or physical development. It really, music crosses over every single area of the brain, so it's accessing all of these skills simultaneously, and one of the only activities in the world that can do that.
Yeah, that's cool. You must have encountered some pretty like niche music tastes over the years.
Oh yeah, for sure. We have some clients that will only listen to Taylor Swift, or they only like video game music,
Yeah, yeah, okay, I could see
or
that.
just the sounds. I once had a client who actually was a real challenge because he didn't like music, but he liked the sound of when you turn the radio dial from station to station.
What?
So,
Okay, that's
so
yeah.
yeah,
All right, all
it
right.
really challenges you as the music therapist to be creative and be able
That's
to meet the client where they're at.
it's an avant-garde sort of modern classical music type thing. Listening to the
Yeah.
sound of the radio turning. It's very experimental. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool though. That's very cool. About you a little bit here. What sort of got you into music and sort of drew you into this career as a music therapist?
Well, I think that most music therapists, they obviously start as musicians,
Mm,
and they can be very classically trained. They could be folk trained. They could have received lessons all their lives, or they could also be self-taught musicians that, have kind of run the lounge and bar circuit or cruise ships. I mean, it's
yeah.
really, we come from all walks of life.
Okay.
But certainly, I think music is our substance and sustenance.
Yeah.
And so for me, at a very early age, I was always involved in music. It was something my parents did for both my sister and I. It was really important to them that we were in piano lessons and voice lessons and
Nice.
choir and band and all of these things. And those were really mostly our extracurricular activities. When I graduated high school, I realized I didn't really know how to do much else because I had dedicated most of my childhood to music. So it was almost a foregone conclusion that
Okay.
my career path was going to include the essence of music in some shape or form. My sister is a concert pianist,
Nice.
and I watched her practice diligently for hours a day. And I knew that that was not going to be my path. That wasn't my jam.
The keyword watched her practice.
Yeah. I mean, of course, musicians have to practice.
Yeah.
You can't get around that. But I knew I wasn't that wasn't going to be my shtick. So, and at the same time, I also knew I wasn't really motivated to teach ukulele and recorder in
Hmm.
schools and become a music teacher at school or an instructor. So it was actually just suggested to me randomly, what about music therapy? And something about those two words felt right to me
Nice.
because it was pairing my love of music for the ability to help other individuals and use it in a proactive way to make change,
Totally.
and help other people reach their fullest potential. So I kind of looked into it. I didn't know very much about it, but I kind of just jumped in, leapt in really 2 feet forward and joined, applied for a Bachelor of Music Therapy program
Okay.
and got in. And I really sat that first day of class, not really knowing what music therapy really entailed, but my gut was telling me it was the right thing to do. And yeah, almost 30 years later, never really looked back.
Awesome.
There's just so much potential out there of different avenues that you can take music, whether it's for songwriting or
Hmm.
improvising or doing more structured music activities. Again, it's about the process,
Hmm.
but yet we do have product
Yeah.
often at the end of the day, or
Yeah. Probably depending on how, just whatever direction the client themselves wants to take it. Probably right.
exactly, and their age level, etc.
Right.
And what their challenges are, so some people really want to be able to, um feel confident to record an
Hmm.
album, but or they want to be able to learn an instrument. Some people really want to be able to connect with another and increase their self-esteem, their self-worth,
Totally.
their self-identity. So again, it really, really depends. Music therapy looks completely different when you look at a session working with kids than
Hmm.
adults, than infants with, everything looks quite different.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, especially when you've described how diverse your clientele is, it's definitely I can imagine.